Hey yo, I've been on very good behavior and struggling a bit with what feels like a lot of sort of emptiness and lack of actual real world useful or at least needful activities. I've already shot a video somewhat on that point, so I'll diverge a little bit, a little more vlog mode, I suppose. My mood has been interesting the last 2 days. Yesterday morning, I woke up and thought I was bored. And then I figured out that I was actually immediately adjacent to a very blissful peace. And the boredom was just where my psyche was meeting the part of me that said I had to push myself to go do work. I spent a lot of time in years past considering this sort of thing. In fact, several years ago, I stopped allowing myself to meditate for too long out of concern that I would arrive at a long-term state of bliss from which it was very difficult to force myself to go do my job and make money and continue to keep up pay the bills and keep up the comforts that are probably a large part of the context for my current psyche and things that I think and care about, right? Like that very state of bliss might largely depend on circumstances that state of bliss would not be able to uphold and maintain. So, yeah, that was a Thursday, and I've not gotten too much done the last couple days. It's fine, and I'll take the weekend, and then I'll force myself back into my small self come Monday so that I can be productive. Force myself back into attachments, worry, things that can motivate me to be productive. And on the flip side, I don't think there's a real alternative option here, at least not for me at this time. I have had the option. I did retire a few years ago with the idea of sort of heading out into the desert and meditating and burning off the rest of my minor attachments and addictions. But in so doing and attempting, I actually ended up just flaring up more addictions, idle hands, and I was weak, and the devil got the best of me. I was not able to burn off those last few addictions, right? So even here, as I claim to be on good behavior and increasingly in relationship with reality, I've still wasted time on TV, still wasted time on YouTube, messaging. I am relatively getting better week to week in my relationship with reality. But again, it's getting tough. One of those recent barriers that I've been struggling with is the feeling of the lack of any immediate opportunity to do useful real world work. There's no farm, there's no real community, there's no war on the soil. We're barely allowed to even interact with our land. If you're in an HOA, all you're allowed to do is keep your lawn mowed and trim up your bushes. Right? We don't really have much freedom to go build value in our lives. So for a lot of us, both our work and our entertainments, distractions are online. Here we are making videos together on the YouTubes. So yeah, 2 days ago, that piece by the end of the night had eroded away to sort of my standard agitation and even a bit worse by the end of that night. And I'm coming up on the weekend and, noticing people around asking, oh, what are you doing this weekend, right? And I get it. Culturally, we're supposed to have fun things to do this weekend, right? And I'm aspiring to not what I consider waste my time on frivolities and entertainment. I would like to either be sitting, apparently idly in the burn, just the agitation of merely being alive, right? You might call it meditation, and just being present, and being present in a body and a mind that is largely addicted to entertainment and movement and distraction and thoughts and ideas of productivity and output like this, or input like watching YouTube podcasts, and sitting into that, or doing real world work, right? I can at least, I am lucky enough, not that I haven't worked hard for it, but I'm lucky enough to have a property with a yard, and so there's yard work available. And so, I mean, in a way, it's almost just another kind of meditation, right? It all almost embarrassingly feels like the work of an addict. But again, in a world where everyone else is running out drinking beer, my housemates are smoking weed and playing video games, and all I can see that's possibly useful or meaningful is going the other direction. It does not feel easy. And I think the most difficult part, which has been really sort of subtle and eating away at me, is that lack. There's a lack. As I rid myself of the distractions, the bullshit, the entertainment, all these sort of temporary, meaningless thrills, there is a very uncomfortable emptiness that remains. I can't say that enacting a long, ongoing implementation of, my reality, goodness, and work, especially the reality part of my framework, I can't say that ends in entertainment and get off, and it doesn't. And at least at the moment, it's very uncomfortable. I do feel discomfort in the lack of thrill, the lack of distraction. Not that it's there, but in choosing to forego the opportunity to go out and play, go out and go to game night, or go to the dances, or any of these opportunities that are coming up this weekend. And in foregoing that, I feel almost like some sort of austere monk, more widely like a Puritan, but sort of a monk, an ascetic. And the word burn keeps coming up. It's just a burn. And it feels a little bit like the addiction pulls these short, superficial desires for entertainment and distraction. At least in their absence, it feels like a burn. And I guess there's a hope. I do feel that it's true, but there's a hope that sitting with and leaning into being idle or meditation, or just being in the real world doing yard work, that burn will lessen. I do believe that burn is part of the addictive relationship, right? Distraction can help sort of assuage or quell or distract from that burn. And then when we try to resist those distractions, I think that the burn is more inflamed by having had indulged in those distractful activities, any of those useless addictions. So anyways, to wrap up, here's to those beautiful opportunities of direct experience with a blissful sort of peace, knowing that is a possible state that requires nothing. And also here's to strength for us moving into our days, moving away from addictions and distractions and entertainment, and moving more into relationship with reality, goodness, and work.